can only rise up out of the heart of men, which is the image. God specifically described what is in man in Romans chapter 7. Romans chapter 7, verse 18 through 20. For I know that in me, that is, in my flesh, dwelleth no good thing. For to will is present with me, but how to perform that which is good I find not. For the good that I would, I do not, but the evil which I would not, that I do. Now, if I do that I would not, it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwelleth in me. The topic at Berkeley is artificial intelligence. However, the AI is not your typical AI that we normally hear about in the forms of smartphones and widely advertised personal assistant devices that are manufactured by leading tech companies such as Amazon's Alexa and Apple's Siri and more. Also, companies such as Google and Facebook are constantly improving their AI algorithms, aka computer coding. However, those AIs are nothing to the extent of expressing their imagination. The AI that they have in their hearts and mind is not artificial intelligence, but autonomous intelligence. This autonomous intelligence is referred to as strong AI over the current weak AI. Before we dive into what Berkeley is looking at, we should look at what God said regarding the imaginations of man as they became as one and knowledge was increased in Genesis chapter 11. Genesis chapter 11, verse 5 through 6. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men build. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they began to do. And now nothing will be restricted from them, which they have imagined to do. As for strong AI, Ari Wang at the University of Berkeley writes, a holistic approach to AI. Strong AI is a term used to describe a certain mindset of artificial intelligence development. Strong AI's goal is to develop artificial intelligence to the point where machines' intellectual capacity is functionally equal to a human's. There are several fundamental differences between the chatbots of the Ebenezer Prize and a true example of strong AI. Chatbots are built for the sole purpose of conversation, using increasingly complex algorithms and responses databases so to determine an appropriate reply to the query or statements. There are examples of applied AI, where systems are built specifically for one usage. The ideal strong AI machine, however, would be built in the form of a man, have the same sensory perception as a human, and go through the same education and learning processes as a human child. Essentially, the machine would be born as a child and eventually develop to an adult in a way analogous to a human development.
Artificial intelligence has seen recent success mainly due to a combination of concepts known as neural networks and deep learning. This development is only recently practical due to the computing power of modern graphics processing units. It aims to mimic the workings of the human brain and allows AIs to learn complex tasks through pattern recognition over vast amounts of training data. These techniques, combined with the massive amounts of data gathered by tech giants like Google, Facebook, Amazon, and Apple, have resulted in remarkable achievements that were previously thought to be years out of reach.
The ancient Greeks, Chinese, and Indians all dreamed up mythological stories about a future sentient being created by man. And AIs are a beloved part of today's science fiction.
Is often the roadmap or the blueprint for where we're heading. Kind of humanity's collective dream of what the future might be, and we nudge reality in that direction.
I remember when I was a kid seeing the movie War Games, which was really the first big AI-related movie, and I was fascinated with it. Imagine being able to create an intelligence. I think anyone who wants to create, that's the ultimate thing to create.
And in the last half-century, we've imagined and created AI who could interact with us and even beat us at our own game. The year 1000,000, we're not talking about a date. It's a figurative era, one where our world has gone through such a dramatic change that it's practically unrecognizable.
Year million is a pretty popular trope. It's not necessarily literally the year 1 million. It's more, far, far down the road. Humanity has evolved past a lot of the concerns that we have now.
And one of the main innovations that will shape that future is the creation and rise of artificial intelligence.
If you ask, what is it that truly defines human beings, I would say it's our minds, it's our consciousness, it's our intelligence. And if we could create that kind of intelligence, create the most powerful thing that we experience, that's breathtaking, right? Who wouldn't find that either enormously compelling or enormously frightening?
And you should be frightened. For example, you know that cell phone in your pocket. You can't live without it, and it's already started to replace you. It can access your memories and find new information in the blink of an eye, and just keeps getting better with time. That's the AI that will challenge our dominance on planet Earth.
We have billions and billions of dollars in this arms race to develop AI. You're going to expect everything, every object to become smart. All of these fundamental things that are going to change everything. Everything.
So let's show you how that arms race plays out.
So, what country are you from?
I'm from Canada.
It's pretty cold there, eh?
Meet Erica the android. She or it, depending on who you ask, is one of the most sophisticated humanoids ever designed. And she's giving us a glimpse of what a year million AI might look like.
Then we have learning machines called neural networks. It literally rewires itself after learning a task. And so we're beginning to see now machines that learn a little bit.
Erica runs on these neural networks. Scientists hope that a computer like her can acquire the subtleties of what a human brain can do, but with all of the power of a digital processor.
Interrupting the discussion to point you at scripture, referring to that man builds idols to worship as gods. It is best expressed in the engineering of idols as in the image and likeness of man, like in Isaiah chapter 44. Isaiah chapter 44, verse 11 through 15. Behold, all his fellows shall be ashamed, and the workmen. They are of men. Let them all be gathered together. Let them stand up, yet they shall fear, and they shall be ashamed together. The smith with the tongs both work it in the coals, and he fashion it with hammers, and worketh it with the strength of his arms. Yea, he is hungry, and his strength faileth. He drinketh no water, and is faint. The carpenter stretcheth out his rule. He marketh it with a line. He fitted it with planes, and he marketh it out with the compass, and marketh it after the figure of a man, according to the beauty of a man, that it may remain in the house. He heweth down cedars. He taketh the cypress and the oak, which he strengthened for himself among the trees of the forest. He planteth an ash. The rain doeth nurture it. Then shall it be for a man to burn, for he will take thereof and warm himself. Yea, he kindled it. He baketh bread. Yea, he maketh it God, and worship it. He maketh it a graven image, and fall down thereto. Now we see that the tools are the same as the materials are the same. Iron and clay are the materials that made up the idols of old, and now and in the future. Man will use the same iron and clay. The passage in Isaiah tells that their tools were iron tongs by a smith and a square and compass by the carpenter. Today, man uses the same tools, just more sophisticated. And with more sophisticated tools comes more sophisticated idols. And ultimately, building the last idol, an image unto the beast that had power to speak, just as it is prophesied in Scripture. Now remember that we are looking at Scripture and applying it to our current day, and there is nothing new under the sun. The idea of building an idol and an image of the beast is the same of old, but repackaged with enhanced technology. In addition, notice that the verse in Isaiah 15 ends with them falling down to worship the image, just as Nebuchadnezzar commanded and the beast in Revelation commands them to do. Looking at Deuteronomy chapter 4 verse 16, lest ye corrupt yourselves and make you a graven image, the similitude of any figure, the likeness of male or female. Now, returning back to Ari Wang's discussion, this approach presents a solution to the problem of symbolic attempts to create human intelligence in computers. Instead of trying to give the computer adult-like knowledge from the outset, the computer would only have to be given the ability to interact with their environment and the ability to learn from those interactions. As time passed, it would gain common sense and language on its own. The paradigm seeks to combine the mind and body, whereas the common trend in symbolic programming has been to disregard the body to the detriment of the computer's intellect. At present, strong AI development is overshadowed by intermediate applications of applied AI, as the field yields more tangible and quantifiable results. In addition, development in embodiment systems have not progressed beyond the most basic constructs without the overall intelligence of even a cockroach. However, it can be argued that the single largest stumbling block to strong AI is the lack of the definition of intelligence. Copeland, strong AI ultimate goal is to make an intelligent computer that can think and understand, but those terms remain ambiguous and undefinable. Hence, there is no general measure of success in the field of strong AI. The concept of intelligence varies from person to person, and as a result, a standardized test like the Turing test becomes less important. The subject of the Turing test was best introduced to the public by the movie Ex Machina, where an AI female robot is to prove the capacity of her consciousness.
Few days, you're going to be the human component in the Turing test.
One day the AIs are going to look back on us the same way we look at fossils.
Hello.
How do you feel about her?
Oh man, she's amazing.
You're impressed?
Yes.
Do you want to be my friend?
Of course. Now the question is, how does she feel about you?
Do you think about me when we aren't together?
Did you give her sexuality as a diversion tactic?
This is your insecurity talking. This is not your intellect.
Did you know that I was brought here to test you?
No.
Does Ava actually like you? Or is she pretending to like you?
Nathan, he isn't your friend. I'm wrong.
Wrong about what?
Everything. Do you want to be with me?
Can we talk about the lies you've been spinning me?
What lies? What lies?
You have to help me.
You have to help me.
What will happen to me if I fail your test?
The Turing test has been interpreted as a way to define intelligence. That is, if one cannot tell a computer from a human being, then it is intelligent. However, Turing himself countered that an intelligent entity can fail the test because it cannot successfully emulate a human being. Copeland, his response summed up the reason for the Turing's test increasingly irrelevance in AI development. Turing offered his test to question the preconceived notion that computers cannot be intelligent by providing a scenario in which computers are indistinguishable from humans. However, by urging that a computer's mind be judged without regards to the body, he inadvertently appeared to ally himself with an extropian mindset that has carried over into artificial intelligence development. What can be interpreted as a proposed direction of development was simply a setting for testing. Ironically, It appears that the best way to create a Turing-capable machine is to develop the mind and body together. Even so, the goal of passing the test becomes more and more unimportant as the perception of intelligence becomes more complex. In the case of the Low Ebner Prize, the goal of passing the test even seems to inspire pure trickery rather than encourages honest progression towards intelligent systems. By ignoring the Turing test, researchers are free to work based on their own judgment about intelligence and how to achieve human-like AI. Machine intelligence, even at its lowest levels, remains exclusive, and the definition of intelligence is as ambiguous as ever. However, the holistic paradigm of strong AI represents a break from the conventional ideas of disembodiment AI systems, and may hold the key to finally realizing a kind of intelligent AI. Just as Turing questioned the notion that computers cannot think, strong AI questions the idea that the mind should be isolated from the body. The Turing test has accomplished its goal by bringing into general acceptance the idea of machine intelligence. As an actual test, it is too simplistic to be sufficient as an indicator of intelligence. Flawed from the outset and distorted by time, the Turing test has become constraining and ultimately irrelevant to AI development. But it remains an important and historical thought experiment bold enough to imagine the achievements of humanoid intelligence in the early years of artificial intelligence. Inseparable mind and body. Herbert L. Dreyfus on the internet describes the chief problem of building human-like artificial intelligence. The human mind is inexorably linked to the body. Dreyfus, isolating the mind from the body is a fundamental flaw approach to this kind of AI development, because it ignores the aspect of the mind that develops solely because humans have bodies. As Dreyfus writes, humans have a perception of what it is to feel relaxed, or to feel pain, or to feel temperature because of interactions between the body, the mind, and the environment. A piece of software, since it is physically formless and has no way of interacting with the environment, can only form abstractions about feelings, most likely based on interpretations of numerical value. Example, 90 degrees is hot, 30 degrees is cold. Chatbots, such as those used in a Low Ebner's Prize and search engine helper bots, operate despite the inability to interact with their environment. Instead, chatbots and helper bots must have information coded to help them deal with feelings, words given to them by humans in order to gain modicum and common sense humans all share by having bodies. The most common approach is through symbolic programming, where a certain word or phrase represents a value the computer can use in response algorithms. Textual search engines simply compare the search phrase with text in the web page, and an image search engine commonly base their results on textual tags information attached to the image rather than the image itself. Chatbots operate in a similar manner, picking up on words used in conversations and looking up a response based on the word's usage. While the model of operation is sufficient for general searches and chats, the flaw in using the approach to build an intellectual equal to a human are apparent. Every piece of feeling, information, no matter how insufficient, must be given to the computer. An ongoing project called the CYC has programmers hand-coding assertions about physical existence into AI systems. The goal is to have a system capable of using these assertions to make complex inferences, such as concluding that a person is wet because he ran a race and therefore was sweating. However, its creator estimates that it will take about 2 centuries of work before the system has the 100 million assertions needed to be useful.
But one of the biggest things that's ever happened to computing, and I think we're going to realize, looking back, that this is one of the biggest things that's ever happened, is AI. 5 years ago, the big bang of modern AI happened. Amazing AI computer scientists discovered new algorithms that made it possible to achieve levels of results and perception using this technique called deep learning that nobody had ever imagined. But the confluence of several things happened. The availability of lots of data that was labeled, and the availability of a processor called a GPU that was really abundantly used, abundantly available, came together and created the big bang of modern AI. Over the course of the last 5 years, so much development has happened. You have seen one announcement after another announcement, one article after another article, and there's so much to capture. And I selected a few to talk about. ImageNet, Microsoft and Google, using deep learning techniques, was able to recognize images better than a human for the very first time. A software program is able to perceive the world. A software program is able to perceive the world. A single algorithm was able to perceive the world better than any human. And then Microsoft took that level of accuracy and doubled it using a very super deep network. And its ability to be accurate, unsurpassed now by any human. Superhuman levels of capability. But the thing that's really cool is it wasn't being trained. People are finding new application for it. It's not just images. Now researchers at Berkeley, at the Berkeley AI lab, was able to use the same deep learning algorithms, the same deep learning networks, combine it with reinforcement learning, and taught a robot how to control its own motor skills. Using simply a camera and 800,000 tries, this robot was able to fit a square peg in a square box. It's able to hang up clothes. It's able to screw a bottle cap on. Could you imagine writing a software program to do that? To screw on bottle caps? Well, it turns out that those programs, we haven't figured out how to write, but we have figured out one algorithm called deep learning that is now allowing robots to learn by themselves. The generality of this algorithm is quite fantastic. Baidu used the same network to train one network, 2 languages, English and Chinese. Deep learning has captured the imagination of so many people that it has gone pop culture. I don't remember the last time Rolling Stones wrote about computer science. Rolling Stones had a big spread on deep learning, on its implication of this new field.